This is Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and we're here for part 4 of my journey to becoming an activist. So we talked about what I saw growing up, what I learned in the biology of sex class, when the topic started becoming really personal to me. Now we're going to talk about when the proverbial doo-doo really started to hit the fan. So my boyfriend and I married during our junior year of college, and we wanted a baby. So I went off birth control. 2 months later, I was at Planned Parenthood for a pregnancy test. And they did the little test in front of you, and it came up positive. And she asked, "Is this good news or bad news?" And given my previous experience with their trying to steer you toward abortion before you're even pregnant, this really raised my hackles. Because I got the sneaking suspicion that if I had said bad news, they'd have been ready to set up an appointment at an abortion clinic without even batting an eye. But I did say it was good news. I did say that I'd been trying to get pregnant. And I did say I was uninsured. And to her credit, she didn't try to talk me into an abortion, probably because that particular Planned Parenthood didn't do abortions. She did give me a referral to a midwife's clinic at Polyclinic Hospital in Harrisburg. So I made my appointment, went in my first day, go up to the front desk to check in, and she asked for my medical assistance card. And I said, "I don't have one. I'm uninsured." And she said, "Well, this clinic is for medical assistance patients only." And I said, "We're willing to pay. We just want for me to be able to get prenatal care." And she was really firm. "Get out of here. This clinic is not for you." And I walked out to the parking lot crying. And I was crying to my husband. I said, "They never outright tell you to have an abortion, but they sure make it plain what they want you to do. They want you to be abandoned and alone and without any resources." And while I was out there crying, a woman came running up to us. She said, "I'm so glad I caught you." She told us she was one of the midwives at the midwives clinic, and she was going to make sure that I got prenatal care. And I will never forget the despair I felt as I stood in that parking lot crying in my husband's arms. And I will never forget the gratitude and relief I felt when that midwife reached out to me. And it infuriates me to no end that when pro-lifers do what that midwife did, where they go to this woman who feels like her choices are being just narrowed down to where abortion's the only option, you reach out and you show them there's another way. And I do not understand why that's considered cruel and disrespectful and taking away her choices, but abandoning her is somehow considered pro-woman and helpful and respecting her choices. At any rate, the midwife brought us in. She took us to the financial aid office. She told the woman there, the finance office, and she told the woman there, "You're going to make arrangements with them so that they can pay for prenatal care and the delivery and everything else." And she told me, "As soon as you're done here, you come up to the clinic and we'll take care of you." So that was wonderful. And so because we worked out that budget, we knew we could take care of the expenses if everything went smoothly. But we were concerned about what was going to happen if something catastrophic went wrong. What if the baby was born prematurely? So we made an appointment at the county assistance office to get medical assistance. And we were adamant, we're not asking you to cover all of our medical expenses. We just want to know if there's some kind of catastrophic insurance we can get in case something goes wrong. And she counted our student loans as income, but didn't count the tuition and books that we were required to spend it on as expenses. And she told us we just made too much money, and she just, "Go, leave, get out of here." And again, I was like, they never tell you to have an abortion, but they sure make it plain that that's what they want you to do. So I was still worried about some medical costs. What were we going to do? And fortunately, the midwife hooked me up with a neonatologist who, at the time, you stayed in the hospital 3 days. He made arrangements that he would discharge the baby as soon as the baby had a clean bill of health. And they hooked me up that they would discharge me as soon as I had a clean bill of health. And I wound up only being in the hospital for about a total of 18 hours. They also booked the birthing room for me instead of the delivery room because that was a cheaper option. And people hooked me up with the food bank. My parents thought I was crazy to be having a baby, but they were supportive. They lived in another town, but sometimes my father passed through town on business, and he'd drop off fruits and vegetables from mom's garden. My husband worked at a restaurant, and instead of throwing the leftover food away at the end of the shift, the chef would put it in containers for Craig to take home for me, so I had plenty to eat. And it's amazing the difference just those little things make. And again, it infuriates me that the abortion rights movement considers those things to be cruel and disrespectful. Anything you do to help her avoid an abortion is somehow bad, and anything you do to facilitate an abortion is somehow good. And some other help I got was from my advisor and my professors in school. My advisor helped me to set up some independent study classes that I could take so that I could still graduate on time. So we had everything set up, including the childbirth instructor setting us up with where we could get a loaner car seat for free. Finally, we were all set to have our baby.